The other night, I was hanging out with a friend, not really a friend, more like an acquaintance, his wife and his wife's friend. And the wife and the friend were doing most of the talking. The guy was kind of passively looking at his phone, and I was just kind of sitting there watching all of this unfold. And the wife and the friend, or the wife was telling the friend about how the wife and the mom had gone to Costco and they had bought all these little trees that they were going to plant in their backyard. The wife and the guy apparently just got married and they have a new house and they're going to do things to the house to make the house their own kind of unique experience. And she was talking about how excited she was, how her and her mom had found all these cool trees to put in their backyard. But the guy kind of looked up from his phone and said, "I'd like to be part of that discussion." And the wife kind of blew him off. And it kind of makes sense that if you're a husband and you have a wife and you're going to plant trees in your backyard, that would be some kind of a joint discussion. Because if you plant a tree in your backyard, it's going to be there forever. But when he said that, she just kind of glanced up from the conversation and just kept talking about it and kind of ignored him. And my initial reaction was, that was kind of rude of her. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that was more his problem than her problem. Because if you don't assert yourself, if you don't assert your boundaries, then it's really not the other person's fault if they don't respect your boundaries. One of the main reasons that pregnant women have such huge mood swings is there's a massive battle for resources happening inside. The fetus, the young baby, the growing baby in her stomach is trying to grab as many resources as they can, while the mom is trying to snatch those resources back. So there's this massive tug of war going on between the fetus and the mom, and that makes her blood sugar go all over the place. It makes her hormones go all over the place, and that's what causes these massive mood swings. And as soon as the baby is born, a massive confrontation starts because it's a massive battle for resources and attention. So even the strongest, most instinctively programmed human relationship, mother and child, is an adversarial, confrontational relationship from the get-go. All animals are programmed on a deep, deep level to spend as little as we can to get as much as we can. No monkey is going to survive very long if that monkey spends 500 calories to get a 50-calorie banana. He's going to starve to death, and that instinct is going to go extinct. The only animals that are left, the only animals that have made it through all the successive filters of survival of the fittest, are the ones who minimize what they spend and maximize what they get. And this is true in relationships. Both relationship partners are trying to maximize what they get out of the relationship while trying to minimize what they put into the relationship. This is ancient, this is an instinct, this is subconscious. So if one person doesn't really assert their boundaries, this person's just going to walk all over them, and that's the natural outcome of that. And so if you don't assert your boundaries, if you don't let people know what your boundaries are and they walk all over you, it's not their fault, it's your fault. Now there's a couple of myths when it comes to asserting your boundaries. And the first myth is that people have this kind of fantasy that boundaries are like this objective thing that everybody just knows about, that people should just understand that you shouldn't do that in a relationship. But unless you specifically say, unless you specifically define what your boundaries are, nobody's going to know what they are. The second myth is that when you express your boundaries, that's kind of a technique to control the behavior of the other person. That all you have to do is say your boundaries, and if they don't change their behavior, then they're wrong. That's also a myth. The only way to assert your boundaries, the only way to define your boundaries and make sure the other person has the best chance of being able to respect your boundaries, is to walk away if your boundaries are violated. If you're in a situation and someone crosses your boundaries, you say, "Look, I don't like it when you did that. When you do things like that, I don't like to be around you." And if they don't respect that, the next time it happens, say, "Look, you did this thing. I told you I don't like that. Therefore, I'm leaving." And then leave. Leave temporarily or maybe leave permanently. But that is the only way to truly express and define your boundaries, is to let them know that you will walk away from them if they violate your boundaries. Now, a great way to do this, a great way to assert your boundaries early in a relationship is to tell a story about what happened to you before. Say something simple like this: I used to be with somebody, but they violated my boundaries. Now I'm not with them anymore, or now I don't see them anymore. This is a very vaguely worded statement. I used to be with somebody, but they violated my boundaries. Now I don't see them anymore. This can be referencing any kind of relationship you had for any length, even if it was a 10-second relationship. It's vaguely worded, and they will get the picture that you're the kind of person that stands up for yourself. You are the kind of person that respects your time. You are the kind of person that has strong boundaries, that isn't afraid of expressing strong boundaries. Now, if you're in a relationship and it's been going on for a while and you haven't done a good job of asserting your boundaries, it gets more and more difficult as time goes on. But you can still use the same technique. I don't like it when you do X, Y, Z. When you do X, Y, Z, I don't like to be around you. I don't want to be around you. Even if you're married with a kid, you can still leave for like an hour or so. Just leave the house. You did X, Y, Z. I told you when you do X, Y, Z, I don't like that. Therefore, I'm leaving, and leave. Don't say when you're going to come back. Don't say where you're going, and let them think about that. This is the only way to train people, to train other people to respect your boundaries. They have to understand through experience that if they violate your boundaries, you will leave, and they will understand that. And this is a great way to filter all the crappy people out of your life, because most people will respect your boundaries, but the ones that don't, get rid of them. And then pretty soon you'll only be surrounded by people that respect your boundaries. Now, there's another myth about asserting your boundaries, and that is that if it's early in a relationship and you kind of like somebody and you assert your boundaries, that's going to make the other person like you less. That's the actual opposite of what will happen. People respect you more, people like you more if you assert your boundaries. Because when you assert your boundaries, you're increasing the scarcity of you. If you have no boundaries and you're completely abundant, there's an abundance of you. There's an abundance of what you'll put up with. There's an abundance of the behaviors that you're okay with. But when you assert your boundaries, when you define your boundaries, when you clearly state your boundaries, and you let known through your conversations, your stories, that you'll walk away from people when they don't respect your boundaries, that significantly increases your scarcity, which makes you much more valuable. So the more you assert your boundaries, the more valuable you'll be, the more you'll surround yourself with people that respect you, and the happier your life will be. So assert your boundaries, understand your boundaries, define your boundaries, and let people know what your boundaries are. That way you'll have a much, much happier life and a much better chance of enjoying a lot of really, really happy relationships. If you'd like to learn more about how to create and enjoy happy relationships, check out the links below. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you next time.